Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the International GTOpen of 2023. And we are now at the final frontier, with Barcelona being the platform for what can only be described as the most sensational championship fight we've had in a long, long time. 70 minutes of racing ahead of us, with the driver change from 28 to the 42nd minute. 14 turns, 8 right, 6 to the left. 4.657 kilometers lie in wait for the drivers. A clockwise direction with some amendments from last season, with the opening up of turn 10 and also the removal of the chicane heading through the final sector out of turn 13 into turn 14, making it purely all about high speed. Now, before we get into the action itself, we've got some housekeeping to bring you. And now, the RFEDA Court of Appeal, they've notified a decision with regards to the current overall standings. So yesterday evening, the panel of stewards and GT Sport organisation were officially notified of the decision of the Court of Appeal of the Spanish Federation, the RFEDA, regarding the appeal submitted by Team Motorpark to the results of race 2 back at Red Bull Ring. That, of course, concerning that result at Red Bull Ring. The Court of Appeal has decided to accept the appeal and invalidated altogether the results of race 2 at the Red Bull Ring, which means no points from race 2 at Red Bull Ring carry over to the championship. It nullifies that specific race and the points themselves that each team and driver achieved. The teams have been informed of the developments in a meeting this morning at Barcelona, where the new championship standings have been communicated. Teams were also reminded that, as interested parties, they have the right to appeal the decision if they so wish. The revised championship standings, taking into account that cancellation of race 2 at Red Bull Ring, folks, are published as well on the relevant section of the website. And also, I believe they have been updated on social media too. The new standings as follows. We can take you through them. Diego Menchaca comes into this. Obviously, this is without drop scores, 103 points. He currently leads the championship. Seibert in second, of course, not here this weekend, as he's just won the LMS championship here this weekend. Obviously, Motorpark have brought in another driver to cover him not being here. Sam Dahan and Charlie Fagg sat in third on 95 points, with Christopher Haase and Simon Riker on 89. Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Maximilian Paul on 88 points. Pro-Am up at the sharp end, Eddie Cheever and Paul Cheney, they currently lead that with 59 points, with Marcin Jedlinski and Carol Bash on 48 points. Steve Jans and Axel Blom on 47, with Nicolo Shiro and Nicolo Rossi still in fourth on 41, with Dexter Muller and Yannick Mettler on 34 points. In terms of the AM, we've got Heiko Neumann and Timo Rumpfkarl on 66 points as well. We've got Conrad Grunwald and Jean-Claude Sada in second on 62. We've got Cipriani and Kirkmeyer and Barron all on 53, with Alessandro Cosi and Sergio Giotto on 52 as well. In terms of the team's championship, Motorpark on 61 points, with Optimum in second on 56. East Talent Audi currently lying third on 55, with Oregon team still in fourth on 52, and AF Corsa in fifth place on 38. So plenty to certainly discover as we make our way through the weekend, but certainly does offer a very, very fascinating championship fight. And joining me for this big championship fight, my name being George Morgan, we've got Chris Stevens, everybody. Chris, the door has opened up, and it's opened up considerably wide.
10 points covering the top 4 in the championship going into the final race weekend of the season. I cannot wait to see how this gets on. When you look at the drop scores, Menchaca only leads by 3 points to Charlie Fagg and Sam Dahan, and they're only 5 clear of Simon Riker and Christopher Haase, who are only 2 clear of Maximilian Paul and Pierre-Louis Chauvet, who have won the most number of races so far this season, 4 races, and they are well within the championship fight now, with those amendments being made. So this is absolutely sensational, and we've still got 4 drivers in contention for the Pro-Am title as well, 5 teams in contention for the AM championship. I mean, there's just battles all the way up and down this field, and they've got a bit of a spanner thrown in the works with the likes of Fabian Schiller and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair being here this weekend as well, and he stuck it on pole position this morning.
Yeah, pretty much as they were last season as well, taking race win in the race 1 in 2022, and following suit now once again, this time by popping it on pole. There's Aaron Walker, who's getting set to go again this weekend. Has got Anthony Bartone back with him this weekend too, with James Wallace not appearing. Obviously, Wallace stepping in to cover Anthony Bartone back at Monza, and was absolutely sensational during the mixed conditions weekend. Nicola Marinangeli starting 13th place. Obviously, alongside him, Ricardo Agostini, who will be lining up on the grid as well. So keep your eyes peeled on that pairing 2. We've also got car number 55 belonging to Jamie Stanley and Lauren DeMeos, who have already told me privately they're looking to go Pro-Am next year in this championship and not debuting the 296 this weekend. They're sticking with what they know with the 488, but coming out with a fresh perspective in 2024 with the Ferrari 296.
Yeah, potentially. We've seen more and more of those make their way through the grid. There's 6 of the 11 Ferraris on this 29-car grid are the new 296. So it's still a few of the old 488 lingering around. But yeah, hopefully it'll be great to see all of those turn into 296s next year. Let's look at Pietro Perolini looking to make amends. He's ready to go, isn't he? But looking to make amends after that heartbreaking spin right at the end of the first race at Monza, where he threw away a 1-2 finish for the Oregon team, trying to, potential 1-2, I should say. He was looking to take second place away from James Wallace on that occasion. This is the Pro-Am Championship leader, Marco Polcini and Eddie Cheever. They have that lead by 11 points, so looking quite nice for them going into this round over the Olymp Audi pairing of Martin Jedlinski and Carol Bash. So that's one to look out for as well. It's very tight behind them as well, with Axel Blom and Steve Jans only 1 point behind them as well. And Andrea Montemini car, unfortunately not in the AM Championship battle, but still nonetheless good performance as well. Some of you may be wondering where Alessandro Cosi is, because he qualified a little bit higher than this, but he has a 10-place grid penalty for this one after getting into the side of Aaron Walker at Monza. So that's the 25 AF Corsa Ferrari, which will be lining up towards the rear of the field. Yeah, a little wink there from Kiki Satnanda as well. He's obviously primed and ready to go inside the blue Get Speed car. A little redress of paint that they've had this season. Of course, last year they were all dressed in yellow. This year they saw themselves in a blue livery on this time around. Ernest Kirkmeyer driving the Team Barron Motorsport car. Now, a little change up here this weekend for them because, of course, Philip Barron himself carrying an injury. So, unfortunately, it was a late change. They've brought in Axel Jeffries. So, up steps a very, very good driver indeed that looking to try and make his mark this weekend here at Barcelona. No doubt one to watch, and has certainly delivered time and time again for Kessel Racing in the past, where he's, of course, contended in this championship, as he did last season as well. So, great to see Axel back. And despite his status as a gold driver, that car remaining in the AM Championship as Kirkmeyer is over the age of 65, which is sort of an exceptional rule in the championship. So 68 years old for Ernst Kirkmeyer, so that means that even though they've got Jeffries on board, that car remains in the AM category, which is important for them because they are 4th in the AM standings and only 13 points behind Heiko Neumann and Timo Rumpfkarl's Motorpark leading car. Yeah, so we take a very nice picturesque look at our grid with the drone cam, and what a pleasurable sight it is as well. Various different manufacturers getting the attention they deserve here at the GTOpen grid, and we will, of course, very shortly be seeing them put pedal to the metal for the final time this weekend as well over the next 2 races that we have. Well, in the meantime, let's take a look at the highlights from race 1 back at Monza in what was very much a rain-soaked affair. They got underway into the safety car, but a lovely move around the outside. Plenty of them on offer around the Temple of Speed. A great effort, certainly, from the likes of James Wallace. This was the big moment, though. Pietro Perolini, unfortunately, losing the Team Oregon Lamborghini, heading through towards the second chicane at Monza, but it would not stop. Certainly the Oregon car belonging to that of Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Maximilian Paul, taking victory in the first race. Race 2 got underway, better conditions here at Monza on that occasion for the second day of racing. They made their way through, and once again, James Wallace and Aaron Walker being again the feature. They came and collided with Alessandro Cosi, who cut the chicane, essentially losing the car altogether and unfortunately colliding with the Mercedes. They got themselves back underway, but on this occasion, despite, though, however, crossing the line in front, Riccardo Agostini, Nicola Marinangeli appearing across the line in first place, they would later have that win taken away from them. Instead, the win going to Reece Barr and Mikael Patamba.
So this is the championship as it stands, folks. Diego Menchaca on 103 points is looking to close out Motorpark's very first GTOpen championship in their debut season. Marcos Seibert in second, who's just come off the back of winning the ELMS championship yesterday. Charlie Fagg and Samuel Dahan sits in third. They, of course, looking to bring Optimum back to the top again. Simon Riker and Christopher Haas are in fourth place, with Maximilien Paul, Pierre-Louis Chauvet in fifth, also looking to chase for the championship. It definitely is going to be a thriller here at Barcelona. Round 7, the precipice, the final frontier, all to play for as we await the cars to certainly take to the track and go green here for the final time this weekend. So race 1 about to get underway, folks, and without any further ado, let's take you through the starting grid. Starting on pole position after a fantastic display this morning, Fabian Schiller, he will certainly be leading them off. David Fuminelli alongside, that great battle for pole just wasn't going Fuminelli's way. Charlie Fagg starting in third place, second row alongside Yannick Mettler, who was superb, starting in fourth. Karel Basch launches himself up to fifth with Albert Costa on his return to the championship, 2019 champion, starting in sixth place. Seventh place goes to Pierre-Louis Chauvet, Oregon very much in the championship fight now, with Nicolo Giro also starting alongside them in 8th place. 9th place is Lewis Proctor as part of the Proctor pairing. Mikael Pitamba in 10th place. This time, though, has a new driver alongside him, that, of course, being Dominic Baumann. Simon Riker lines up in 11th place with Aaron Walker in 12th in the Mercedes. In behind them, then, Nicola Marinangeli starts 13th, with Jamie Stanley in the Ferrari 488 in 14th place. 15th going to Axel Blom, with Pietro Pirolini looking to recover after a difficult Monza round. 16th place. Despite it being difficult, they did score their first points that weekend. Marco Polcini in 17th, Giuseppe Cipriani in 18th place as well. In 19th, that goes to Andrea Montemini, with Kiki Saknana in 20th spot. And then in 21st place, we have Ernst Kirkmeyer, who has Axel Jeffries alongside him for the driver change window later on. And welcome Morten Stromsted to the grid as well with Team Motorpark. Timo Rumpfkar makes it Motorpark on the 23rd spot of the grid, with Sampon Joe Jovanil representing the Benaldi Motorsport Lamborghini team. In 24th place they start. Jean-Claude Sarda in 25th, Pascal Bachmann and Street Art, they start 26th place, sorry. With 27th place going to Alessandro Cosi in the Ferrari 296, and Jay Schriedman debuting here with a new Ferrari as well as part of the AF Corsa lineup. They join them 28th place. Stanislav Jedlinski and also Christian Korzanowski start from the back of the grid. So there you have it, folks. There are drivers and the cars getting set to go. The spectators watching on, and what a weekend they've chosen, because the conditions are absolutely glistening. Barely a cloud in the sky, lots of blue, and we're very soon about to see some great racing, Chris.
We certainly are. I just cannot wait to get this championship fight underway. Championship protagonist, Charlie Fagg, starting in third place. He's second in the championship. Albert Costa, who's been drafted in to partner Diego Menchaca at Motorpark. Marcos Seibert, as we alluded to earlier, competing in the ELMS finale. So he's partnering Menchaca. He lines up in 6th, Pierre-Louis Chauvet in 7th, Simon Riker in the East Allen Audi, he's 11th. So there's a bit of a mix there between the championship protagonists, and of course there's a lot of fast cars in and amongst them as well. A lot of the Pro-Am teams opting to go for their pro drivers on this first race of the weekend, so there's a few more cars in contention there as well. So it's just a fantastic fight. It's going to be brilliant to watch. 10 points separate the top 4 going into this one. I have a feeling it's going to look quite different when we leave this afternoon. Now, that is the Olymp
Stanislav Jedlinski and
and Korzanowski car, the one that didn't set a time in qualifying. It seems like problems are persisting on that Ferrari 296, unfortunately.
Yeah, starting from the pit lane by the looks of it, so they're going to be getting themselves set from there. Not that it'll be too much of an issue, because of course, remember, the cars get bunched together later on. We'll have to wait and see what that brings when, of course, we go green and hit pedal to the metal for the final round of the championship. 7 chapters have led to the precipice of this gargantuan story that we've been telling all season long. We witnessed certainly hellacious runs at Monza. It all started with a trip to the Algarve back for round 1. And since then, we have seen trials and tribulations for many, but also absolute sensational positives for many as well. Many great stories written, new drivers entering the show, and plenty of former ones as well to really savour the taste buds as we make our way towards the final stages of this weekend. But starting off, we've got a race to bring you, and certainly race one is going to be a feisty one. Fabian Schiller is going to lead them round behind the safety car whilst they get the tyres up to temperature. Key around a track like this, of course, because you do have some very tricky apexes. There is a little bit of everything here at Barcelona. High-speed sections with one of the longest straights you'll see in GTOpen racing. But not only that, you've got plenty of corners, including hairpin bends, as well as, well, plenty of even tighter hairpin bends heading through towards turn 10, which has since been opened up from last year, but still no less forgiving. You've got plenty of other bends to watch out for as well. The removal of the chicane, the final two corners, which can very much ignite your move heading down the straight. You just got to lick your lips, haven't you, Chris?
Absolutely, and yeah, licking the lips of the audience that we have around this Barcelona circuit as well. The bar across from the commentary box absolutely packed to watch these drivers go for the start and listen to the cacophony that is GT3 racing. There's a reminder of the championship standings minus the drop scores as it stands. So we'll update you as the race goes along. What's happening with that? Certainly a fantastic fight brewing for the championship in what has been one of the most dramatic and competitive seasons this brilliant championship has seen, and there's still plenty to contend with. We've got Fabian Schiller will lead them away. David Fuminelli running very well in that Ferrari 296. It likes the high-speed corners. That's why it's been going very well here so far this weekend. Obviously, 20% more aerodynamic downforce compared to its 488 predecessor, which is rather helping. And the fact that the last sector is now significantly faster than it was last year when we had the chicane, that is helping them out as well. And just one final point, George, because at Monza we saw a few people being tripped up for breaking the formation at the start. They need to keep it neat and tidy. The last thing we need is for a title to be decided in the stewards' room.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. We want it done across the line. We want it done via the checkered flag, certainly here in the International GTOpen. And at the front and at the head of the table at the moment is Fabian Schiller. In terms of what's going on track, in terms of off track, it's Diego Menchaca who leads the title here at this point. What a long journey it's been. It's been a brilliant one, though. Menchaca on 103.97, certainly for Seabear, who's not here, but Charlie Fangadahan not far behind on 95. It's very tight at the top. And now, as the safety car makes its way through the next right-hander, as do the other cars now, they become the pace cars up at the front end. It's going to be Fabian Schiller who takes them around New Holland here for the final time under safety car conditions here. And we'll hope, certainly, for a gargantuan fight as the lights go from red to green, and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Yannick Mettler with a huge start, manages to fall in behind that of Fabian Schiller in behind. A flash of the lights from Charlie Fag as he makes his way towards turn one. Is the Optimum going to take the lead? He certainly might. Yannick Mettler, oh, they've made contact. Oh, they're round, they're all round.
Huge mess.
It's all round, it's upside down, and unfortunately here, and look at Fabian Schiller, he's going slowly, I think, at the back. Incredible scenes here at the very start of the International GTOpen, and Optimum Motorsport, they're going to be devastated.
And an almighty start for the East Allen Audi. He's now fighting for third place with Fuminelli. This has completely changed the face of the championship, still side by side for third. Fag, I don't think he got going again. He's still down at turn one, perhaps. Didn't look like a great start for the Albacosta car. He's down in 14th as well. What a huge, huge mess. There is Charlie Fag. Can he get it going again? This is disaster for the championship. Yannick Mettler down there with him as well. Charlie Fag is getting out of the car. This is huge for the championship.
This is absolutely extraordinary. We did not expect this. Carol Bash leads. Look at Pierre-Louis Chauvet, second in the standings. Charlie Fag is absolutely inconsolable. Safety car has been called out. Incredible dramatic scenes from the get-go here at Barcelona, and the site here where Oregon and that of Optimum Motorsport went together to take the crown last year. Remember, it was Oregon who prevailed on this occasion. Surely this has not hampered the opportunity here for Optimum.
Well, I'll tell you what, they are lucky that they have a drop score to take, so it'll be 2 zeros rather than a 0 and a 1, which it is at the moment, but Charlie Fag cannot believe it. He cannot believe what has just happened. I'm sure Yannick Mettler can't either. And yes, that's the Fabian Schiller car that's certainly seen better days. Very beaten up Mercedes AMG GT3 car there. So, I mean, where has that left us then? So Bash leading Chauvet, leaving Fuminelli and Riker in 4th. Albert Costa in 13th. He's recovered 1 spot from the initial getaway, but I mean, we may as well take these championship standings, put them in the bin now. Let's have a look and see what happened. So it looked like they started going quite early, to be honest. Chauvet was jinking out there a little bit, and Mettler was so good with the reaction time. And the McLaren draws up alongside. It's 3 wide into the first corner. Fag's tied to the inside, and he's going to get pushed by Carol Bash. And he tags Mettler with him as well. And, oh, is that Albert Costa that was caught up in that as well in the Motor Park Mercedes? There's 3 of them on the grid now, so it's harder to see them apart. But what? Look at that. So, yeah, Fuminelli has to run off the circuit. The Kessel car does as well.
There's Costa.
Yes, it was the Costa, and he did make contact, I think, with the Almanar car as well. So that explains why he's dropped down so far. And yeah, cars behind, it was such a clean run. But that all was instigated, I think, with Carol Bash getting into the back of Charlie Fag. I'll need to see some replays of that. But it was definitely, Fag was sort of going in deep, and he clips Mettler. And this is, look, beautiful open view for Pierre-Louis Chauvet, but he's still got an Audi in his face.
Well, that's right. I mean, the thing is, this has opened up everything now for the Oregon team and also for the East Talent Audi team. I mean, they're both outfits now.
Yeah.
Spearheading the top end. Carol Bash is going to have to box for, obviously, Marcin Jedlinski later on. Now, this is Fag. This is Charlie Fag heading in towards turn 1 now. Of course, he got uprooted. You can see in the rear view camera.
Yes, you can see in the camera. It's broken the camera.
Yeah.
So he's definitely had a hit from Carol Bash. And wow, yeah, Charlie can't believe it. This is on board with Albert Costa. So he gets into the back of the Almanar car as well. Sideways McLaren in his face. Actually, the contact wasn't so bad. It was a bit of a
Costa
nudge,
did well,
really.
to be fair, to avoid it.
To keep going as
absolutely.
well. Yeah,
he did a tremendous job.
Dust and cars everywhere going through turn 3, but he is still going. And oh, apologies for Sam DeHaan's language there, but an understandable reaction, of course, given that he's going for the title with Charlie. Oh, there's a bit of flame out the back of the McLaren. No wonder it didn't get going again.
No, not at all. Charlie Fag understandably despondent at that, because of course this is such an important weekend, and to get it off to this kind of a start is certainly not what you want. And I saw a very pensive looking Sean Goff as well in behind, certainly not happy. I think with what's unfolded, and Rob McCourtnage himself too, who's obviously a key member of the team there. And, you know, obviously, they were all hoping for a big weekend. Yannick Mettler coming in as well, because he was right in the thick of this too. And now let's wait and see what's happening here. The incident is being investigated as we speak, folks. We can tell you that. But nonetheless, Yannick Mettler coming in. There's the Almanar. Goodness me, looks like they're retiring as well. Fabian Schiller out of the car. So Almanar Racing by GetSpeed will not take any further part in the race, so that takes them out. Of course, we did see quite the damage on that too, and obviously that's certainly played a vital factor in that. They're just giving some checks now to the SPS Mercedes as well, belonging to that of Yannick Mettler and Dexter Muller. And there's the reaction from Charlie Fag, helmet off, and as you can see, not happy. And
that's the international racing driver sign language for I was wiped out.
I was hit in the rear. Yeah. That's basically what that was. But Carol Bash now leads. Obviously, we're going to wait and see what the stewards decide. And this is the provisional look in terms of the championship. And as I said, Oregon team off the back of that, being where they are, 100 points now coming into this, with Marcos Seabear in 3rd, Christopher Haase and Simon Riker in 4th. Look at that, 6 points away, Christopher Haase and Simon Riker, and 3 points, Oregon are in the fight.
They are absolutely in there. A long way to go still 63 minutes left on the clock, and we've got the driver change window, of course, as well. So still a lot can happen in this race. At the moment, it's Carol Bash leading, Pierre-Louis Chauvet, David Fuminelli as well, Simon Riker in 4th. Albert Costa has got a big weight on his shoulders now to get that Motor Park car as high up the order as he possibly can for Diego Menchaca. And, well, Here we go again, George.
I'm looking forward to this, Chris. Let's see what happens now, because Karel Bash is going to take them round the final corner. This time he's in front. He's got Pierre-Louis Chauvet for company behind as well. And as the safety car comes to an end, green flag conditions, and we'll put pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. And as they make their way down towards turn 1, 62 and a few seconds, well, somewhat to go. They make their way down towards turn 1 now. Pierre-Louis Chauvet not quite close enough to make a move for the back. I think we could see Andrea Montemini going defensive as well, with Michael Pitamba in behind too. As we see them crawl through the first and second corners, they'll then make their way through towards turn 3, heading through now. A little switcheroo there from Michael Pitamba, who's going to bring himself into the fight against the legend that is Andrea Montemini. He's going to try and tuck into the inside, enter a motor park car as well belonging to Albert Costa. The 2019 champion moves past Pitamba, Mercedes v Mercedes, and he got it.
Motorpart versus SPS as well, and Albert Costa up into 12th place there, took advantage of the fact that Pitamba was a little bit bulked up behind Montemini's car there. That's Marin Angeli trying to make a move on Lewis Proctor, the 51 of course of Ferrari. Incidentally, the only one that scored points in every race so far this season, but not in the championship fight, but trying to get up into 5th place there. And he's got the other Oregon car, Pietro Perolini, breathing down his neck, as well as with Nicola Shirana, who was kicking up some gravel there. Somebody went very wide on the exit of turn 9.
Yeah, absolutely. We're now riding on board with Albert Costa, looking to make moves again. Now, of course, it was what can only be described as perhaps an underwhelming qualifying for this team pairing. But, of course, now Albert Costa going in deep, heading through towards turn 10. That was a very risky moment, managing to recover the car somewhat, but got very tied up and twisted heading through the hairpin.
That's it. The other motorpark car, actually, so the 65, Rumpf Kyle trying to get up on Cipriani there. And that's important for the AM Championship as well. That's for second in class at the moment, and this is a back on board with Costa, still behind Montemini there in 12th place, but the Mercedes going to get a big run here on the Ferrari 488. Montemini defending, even though he's well in the AM lead, and Albert Costa going to go around the outside. Montemini breaks very, very firmly up the inside and managed to get that stopped somehow. This is how Costa took the place on Pitamba. I don't know if our audio was still on for turn 1 there, but it certainly sounded like somebody made contact. And, well, he made contact with Pitamba as well. Gave him a little nudge, actually, through turn 3.
Well, Bash still leading at the moment, 60 minutes to go. And there's East Talent Audi as well, belonging to that of Simon Riker. And we got, there we have it, race control, asking team manager for car 77, that's Karel Bash. They've got to report to, Pitamba's dropping and losing places. The pro car now down to 25th place and continuing to lose places.
So this might be it. So I heard a squeal and a clunk while we were watching some replays.
Because that's Montemini.
So Montemini's gone round.
Yes, Montemini.
And he's collected the SPS Mercedes, Michael Pitamba, being spun out of the race there. So Albert Costa has made contact with 2 cars now. And wow, so that's a real shame for our most recent race winner, Michael Pitamba. Didn't even get to celebrate on the top step of the podium, and now is beached in the gravel trap as well. So this all starts because Montemini gets the nudge here. Well, I don't know why you can put your hand up like that. You just ran into the back of him, Albert. But that's the second car he's done that to. He already gave Pitamba a little nudge through turn 3.
Albert Costa not hanging around. Lewis Proctor in there. Oh, goodness me. And that's a rear failure, certainly, on the back. And, you do have to wonder whether that is suspension issues there for Andrea Montemini, as now we see the cars make their way through the next right-hander. East Talent Audi now under pressure from certainly Nicola Marinangeli's car. Already getting past, though, is the Proctor car. It's the looking to try and march their way forward. A late move down the inside here from Nicola Marinangeli, who's trying to find a way to manufacture some kind of an overtake against the Audi R8 LMS. They're going to head down now towards Seat. Will Nicola Marinangeli choose to have a look down this time? No. A little bit more patient on this occasion as he looks to put the foot down on the power again. Of course, like I said, they were the ones who took victory on track at Monza. But the victory was unfortunately taken away, so the 296 still waiting for its first win here in the International GTOpen.
Yes, but may well take its first championship, actually, as Montemini brought that car back into the pits now, and that will most definitely be a retirement. Yeah, of course, the 296 going for the Pro-Am Championship as well. Actually need to double check if that car's won any championships in other series just yet. Could well be a first for the 296. I'll have to double check, confirm that. Fuminelli still running in third place there, and closing in on Pierre-Louis Chauvet. Proctor in fourth now, as you mentioned, and Riker now having to defend from Marinangeli. And Marinangeli might have a run here down the straight. We can just see it in the back of shot, but Pierre-Louis Chauvet soaking up some pressure from Fuminelli for second place. This is back on board with the 17 Motorpark car that is now in 10th place. This is the car that is leading the championship. And now looking back at the similar Mercedes, but the one in front of him gets speed. Axel Blom ahead of him. And he's got the Pro-Am Championship leader right behind him as well. Albert Costa trying to find a way through on Axel Blom for what is now 9th place. Looking up the inside here, can he draw enough of an overlap? So Blom's a little wide there, but nothing Costa could do with it, unfortunately.
No, not at all. He was trying to find his way around Blom. Of course, Axel Blom can be very strong when it comes to defensive driving, so obviously frustrating Albert Costa somewhat. In behind as well, Aaron Walker, who's also trying to make moves as well, past Marco Polcini. As you know, see the cars make their way up the hill through Wirth Curve. They'll then strike towards the top end of things too. There you can see once again them come together, heading through this next right-hander still. Of course, Marco Polcini will sub in for Eddie Cheever as well, as you so rightly said, looking to close out the Pro-Am title here this time around. Again, though, we see defensive driving here on offer for Pietro Pirolini as well further back, who's got Nicolo Schiro for company as well, heading through now towards this final sector. We're here now with Pierre-Louis Chauvet. David Fuminelli half a second in behind as well, might yet get a chance if he can unleash the straight line speed on that Ferrari against the Lamborghini that currently lies in wait in second place as well. They got a long run heading down towards turn one again this time. Of course, Fuminelli, who really did challenge for that pole effort, only saw himself usurped late on with Fabian Schiller grasping it at the very last minute, but it will not be a Schiller and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair victory here in race one. They've already had to retire the car. Albert Costa has taken P9 away from Axel Blom, so has managed to make the move here as we now make our way on the 55th minute.
Still Marinangeli looking at the back of Riker there, and we saw Nicolo Schiro trying to get around the outside of Perolini for 7th, but it doesn't look like that move came off at turn 10. 55 minutes to go, as we mentioned, and drive-through penalty for our race leader, car 777, that is Carol Bash, for instigating the calamities we saw at turn 1 at the start of the race.
Yeah, and that's going to be really painful because that's 2.5 seconds, the gap between them and Chauvet, and now they're going to lose a great deal more than that. Drive-through penalty for Carol Bash. And of course, as a result, Marcin Jedlinski as well, who will be standing by to take over the car when the driver change window opens up. So we see the Provisional Drivers' Championship, as you can see on your bottom right-hand side. Diego Menchaca still leads with 105 points. Maximilian Paul and Pierre-Louis Chauvet on 100 points. 97 points for Marcos Seibert, 95 for Charlie Fagg and Samuel Dehaene. That's the updated points graphics, folks. As they stand, they are provisional, of course, at this stage. Albert Costa has just disposed of Nicolo Schiro as well and has moved his way through and is looking to try and launch a charge, this time on Pietro Pirolini, hugging the inside of Banks Sabadell. He's knocking them down one by one, trying to make places left and right, and now heading through turn 13. It's Albert Costa who moves up now into that 7th place. And
Schiro following him through on Perolini as well. So there's been a mega lap for Albert Costa. He's done 3 cars in 1 lap by the looks of it, from 10th to 7th. And now that's going to help recover a little bit in the championship. They are still leading it, of course, but they've got to assume that Riker and Chauvet are very much on the attack. This is a lovely move from Albert Costa. All over the curb, little bit of grass as well. I mean, there was just about the width of a Mercedes AMG in there, and he found it.
He certainly did. He did it well as well. Let's take a look at it. Take a look at it on the onboard from Albert Costa's view, and there you can see hugging that inside, manufacturing the move, and Albert Costa able to make his way around turn 13, leading ahead of Pietro Pirolini. As Carol Bash, who come back and see him, of course, still got to take the drive-through penalty that has been issued by race control. 2.7 seconds ahead of Pierre-Louis Chauvet, so he's gained 2/10 in this lap alone. Chauvet heads around the Campsa corner with Fuminelli hot on his heels. That has not changed now for a good few laps. Heading down in towards the next left at Lakea Bend. Of course, vastly more open than what it was last year, of course. Very, very tight in the past, and has now since seen it open up to a great degree.
Team manager car 17, that's Motor Park, reporting to race control. And I can only imagine that will be for the Montemini collision that also took Pitamba out as well. So we had a penalty for the race leader, and we may well now have one for our championship leader as well, as Karel Bash now serving his drive-through penalty. Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Team Oregon take the lead in a race they dearly need to win to get into this championship fight. This is why Karel Bash has a drive-through penalty into the back of Charlie Fagg, who spins round Yannick Mettler and causing all sorts of chaos at the start of the race.
Yeah, now making his way back out onto the circuit. There you see Pirolini going by, Axel Blom, as well as Aaron Walker. More of them coming past as well. Marco Polcini, including Timo Roomkyle as well. He's currently now in 13th, with Bash now down to 14th place on track, as now we rejoin the battle now further up. This is the East Talent Audi of Simon Riker with Nicola Marinangeli, who is trying to find each and every way possible to make a move this time around. Has been held up by the Audi for quite some time, and Marinangeli, who's been on the end of a fair few scuffles of his own in the journey of this championship. Of course, we hark back to Hungaroring, which of course did see once again the Optimum Motorsport coming unstuck on that occasion through that fight that they had heading through the chicane. They make the climb up through towards Firth Curve this time around. Pierre-Louis Chauvet now advancing his lead over Fuminelli, another 2/10 in his favour. The gap between them and Lewis Proctor is now 2.7 seconds, with Simon Riker now 3 seconds in behind. Marinangeli all over his tail.
Trying to close that gap still. He's been looking at the back of Riker for some time now. 51 minutes left on the clock, and we've got the driver change coming up in about 9 minutes time as well. So of course, for Agostini, he'll then have to be competing with Christopher Haase as well, and I wouldn't want to be the one going up against Haase. This car has not taken a win all season long, and now would be the perfect time for it, really.
It's a very good chance for it to happen now.
It really is, especially considering 63 has got the 20 seconds of handicap to take as well, whereas the East Talent Audi is unhandicapped for this race. So this would be a wonderful opportunity for East Talent to take a very timely first win.
Yeah, it could yet be a challenge for the title as well, which would be certainly unbelievable.
They're well in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely right. And you all saw the points graphics earlier on as well, folks. It is exceedingly tight here at this stage. 50 minutes or so to go. And East Talent's Simon Riker doing a stellar job of keeping Marinangeli at bay. Fuminelli as well, 7/10 again. He's recovered the 2/10 that he lost against Pierre-Louis Chauvet. As we take a look inside the Kessel garage, as we now see the cars make their way around this circuit now. The East Talent Audi trying to stay glued. Simon Riker doing a great job of holding up the tide against Marinangeli. And as we said, of course, losing out that race win last time out at Monza, which would have been a famous one as well, because it was a home track for the Ferrari. But not to be, unfortunately, despite crossing the line due to essentially a penalty. It granted the win to Respar and Mikael Pitamba. Unfortunately, Respar not here this weekend, so unable to celebrate that victory in style with another run here at Barcelona. But Dominic Baumann stepping up to join Mikael Pitamba this weekend, as we now rejoin our race leaders. Pierre-Louis Chauvet, 10 laps mustered in, 0.8 seconds the difference. Another 10th thrown out. Chauvet doing a great job, and now once again Marinangeli urging himself closer and closer. Did just trip into the gravel ever so slightly, so that might cost him a little bit of time, of course, just dipping that rear around Bank Saint-Bedel into the stones. But now as they make their way back onto the home straight again, it looks like the East Talent Audi might have just done enough. Now this is a track that the Audi does like though, Chris.
It does, but the Ferrari's really good through those last two corners, very high speed right-handers. The Ferrari doing very well in the high-speed corners here, making it a very good car for this track. But Riker just fending off the Ferrari for now. Both of those cars having a slight BOP update, basically going back to what it was pre-Monza. So the Ferrari 10 kilos lighter than it was at Monza, as is the Audi, back to where it was. It's the Lamborghini that's had its wings clipped slightly, getting an extra 20 kilos on board, but doesn't seem to be stopping Pierre-Louis Chauvet at the moment. He's still holding back David Fuminelli for the lead of the race.
Yeah, Fuminelli is getting closer though. 4 tenths now is the gap. So remember, it was nearly between 8 and 9 tenths of a second. So 5 tenths essentially brought in by Fuminelli. Lewis Proctor in third as well. Has also gained a little bit of time too, because he was 3 seconds behind. It's now 2.7 with 4.4 between Riker and Proctor, who's more concerned about defending against Marinangeli in behind. As we now see Lewis Proctor now make his way through the next left. And they're being joined now by the Olymp Ferrari, right in the midst of this scrap as well, which is never ideal. And certainly Marinangeli would have probably not ideally wanted that in front of him, or at least maybe upset the balance for the Audi R8. And certainly Simon Riker maybe slightly disturbed by that, but it hasn't really affected the current proceeding.
Well, let's see what it's like down the straight. Marinangeli with a good run here. Lovely drone shot swooping through the final corner. Actually looked like Marinangeli got the tail out a little bit through the final corner there, and that's probably not going to help his run too much. He's quicker in a straight line than that Audi with the slipstream, but not enough to mount a challenge into turn 1 by the looks of it. And Simon Riker, I would say crucially, hanging on to this 4th place spot at the moment. And we've got a replay here, and now was there just the merest, slightest little bits of rubbing of bodywork there between the AF Corsa and the East Talent?
They did get in close, I think, heading through the first 2 corners.
Definitely did.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it hasn't affected the East Talent Audi. The balance still looking good as Marinangeli still gives chase. But we've still got plenty of time to go. Now, this is the 2 get speeds covered together, of course. We've got Anthony Bartonen and Aaron Walker. Of course, their car on the left-hand side, licking a bit of the gravel, heading through the final sector.
But still got it done into 9th place. Very well done from Aaron Walker there.
Committed, Chris.
Yes, it absolutely was. He and Anthony Bartone confirmed for the Asian Le Mans Series as well, as is Sam Dahan with Optimum. So a few of these drivers will be busy during the winter as well. The Motor Park unconfirmed driver lineup, but they will have a presence in the Asian Le Mans Series this year. That starts in Sepang in a couple of months as well. So
Albert Costa has gained a lot of time as well. He's right on the tail of these two and not far away. 1.6 seconds now the gap. He's been really nipping in to that delta, and previously obviously losing out prior and now starting to gain a lot. I mean, you can really see, I think from the sectors, in fact, he was 6 tenths faster, or in fact more than that, 7 tenths faster in the middle sector. And now as they're about to cross the line, we'll get a greater view as to how close it is now. Fuminelli, incidentally, outside of the second gap between him and Pierre-Louis Chauvet. So Chauvet starting to go to work on the Lamborghini. We've still got another 3 minutes and 20 until the driver change window opens up. As now we see the East Talent Audi make its way through turns 1 and 2. Simon Riker, once again, doing a stellar job. Just look at the deltas there between Costa and Marinangeli. 1.2 seconds gained in lap 13. Lap 12 was nearly 7 tenths. 1.1 seconds in lap 11 and 8.5 tenths in lap 10 as well. As we see, oh, goodness me, a real tussle now as we see 2 cars come together, and that's the 19. Pietro Pirolini's gone off. We've got car number 27 and Marco Polcini, as well as the 55 Ferrari as well, that has suddenly seen the other direction as well. A real major moment.
So 2 AF Corsa Ferraris, including the Pro-Am Championship leader Marco Polcini, that is beached in the gravel there. We saw him spinning his wheels but not getting anywhere. So that's big for the Pro-Am Championship as well. Perolini beached in the gravel as well. We may well see another safety car here right before the pit window opening as well. That could cause a bit of drama, as now we've got 3 cars vying for 4th place. Albert Costa has arrived on the scene. 44 minutes left on the clock.
Well, this is double jeopardy here for Oregon, because at the same time, Pierre-Louis Chauvet has been putting in a lot of work to try and enlarge the gap. Up at the front, he could lose it under the safety car. This is the moment rear-ended here, and that, I believe, is the 55 belonging to Jamie Stanley and Laurent de Meus, who unfortunately has gone into the back of Marco Polcini, and as a consequence, Pietro Pirolini, who was basically a bystander in all this, was basically collected just far too late on the brakes, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, they were both going for a move on Perolini there, but Jamie Stanley was also trying to get past Polcini as well. So that's gonna shake things up in the Pro-Am standings as well, because they've already got 2 non-scores, and Marco can't believe it. Safety car has been deployed and the driver change postponed as well, because your new rule for this year, you're not allowed to change under the safety car. So we'll see when that opens up a little bit later on, but for now we're back under safety car conditions, so that 1.5 second advantage for Pierre-Louis Chauvet gone. Fuminelli back on his tail. Lewis Proctor will close up as well in 3rd place, and Simon Riker will be right on the back of them as well. I can't help but feel well, first of all, that's really good news for East Talent, because when Haase gets in that car, they'll be much closer together, and that's good for them. For Chauvet and Paul, not so good news.
No, it's not. It's, like I said, double jeopardy for the Oregon team, because, of course, they lost Perolini, and now, of course, with Pierre-Louis Chauvet leading and trying to advance his gap as well ahead of David Fuminelli, he's going to see all his hard work essentially be turned upside down. This is great news if you're Albert Costa, and obviously, as a consequence, Diego Menchaca, because he, of course, now will see himself in a position where he's now closed up with the rest of the group. He was making ground anyway, but this has suddenly worked out exceedingly well for the Motorpark team.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what as well, for the Olymp 777 team, it's gone from bad to worse, because after that drive-through penalty for causing the calamities at turn 1, they've now been given a 5-second penalty for track limits as well. So not a great day for Olymp, which is the car second in the Pro-Am standings as well. So really bad day for both of the Pro-Am leaders. That's probably great news for the Kessel Nikos and for Axel Blom and Steve Jans.
Bad to worse here for Carol Bash. 5-second time penalty to be added to the race time for track limits. So that's on top of the, obviously, the issues that they had earlier on. So, yeah, not ideal at all.
So recovery vehicles down at turn 1 to get those 2 cars out of the gravel. And being led very slowly around that section of the track. So yeah, this is really bad news for Team Oregon and 63, because they've ended up with their lead being eradicated, and what would have been quite a handy advantage, but with the 20 seconds they have to take, that's not going to end up too well for them, I don't think.
No, not at all. It's certainly not ideal. The crew getting bunched up together. Proctor now still remains in 3rd. Riker still in 4th place. Obviously great for him, because, of course, the deficit between him and Proctor was advancing out to 4 seconds. Marin Angeli being in 5th as well, still remaining on Riker's rear. Costa in 6th. Shiro in 7th. So now we take a look at the incident again. Now, this was it. Obviously, again, we'll see it time and time again, and the result's still very much the same. Late on the brakes, and obviously Marco Polcini picked up, as was Pietro Pirolini, and it doesn't get much better either way you look at it, really, at this point. And obviously Oregon are going to be, I think, gutted with that. I can only imagine what Jerry Canavicio is thinking right now, given the fact that obviously one of his cars was collected there, and obviously at the same time the gap that Chauvet had pulled out has obviously been reeled back in. So yeah, no doubt devastated scenes as well for Marco Polcini in the Pro-Am title race.
Yeah, arms up, can't believe it, and not the best wedding gift for Eddie Cheever, unfortunately.
No, not at all, no. I think he would prefer better gifts than that, to be honest.
But, well, both those cars have got going again, so they're out of the gravel and out of harm's way. Listen to that gravel being
cleared
chucked out of the Ferrari 296 there.
Means there's going to be a little bit of a dirty track out there in places. Obviously, yes. Pietro Pirolini now making his way around. There is Eddie Cheever, I think, for the rear of his head. I think, obviously, just surveying the situation. I think, of course, he'll be a little relieved that the car is still going. So it still gives them an opportunity. And obviously, under the safety car, it will bunch the cars back together. But Polcini now has got a lot of work to do to try and regain the deficit that he lost. We're still waiting news on when the driver change period is going to come into play. But as soon as we do know, we will let you all know as well. 39 minutes and 10 to go. Soon enough, we'll be within the 39th minute. And still at the top end is Pierre-Louis Chauvet, following the safety car with David Fuminelli in 2nd, Lewis Proctor in 3rd.
Yes, so we'll get the driver change window open when the safety car comes in, I'd have thought. I thought there'd be a flurry of them coming in when the safety car does, in fact, peel in. Pierre-Louis Chauvet traditionally has done the longest stints so far this season, as has Fuminelli, of course being the pro in the Pro-Am pairing there. And, he's been constantly up the front of the field whenever he's in the car, certainly one of the fastest of this field. And the Pro-Am pairing there, him and Frederic Jousset. Unfortunately, last time out, Jousset put it in the gravel on his first lap in the race, so hopefully things go a little bit better for them in this encounter. And yeah, George, I can't help but feel that suddenly this is a great opportunity for the East Talent Audi team to take their first win of the season once Christopher Haase gets on board that car, because the field's been bunched up. Haase is one of the fastest of the field, no doubt about that. Opportunity for Albert Costa to make up for lost ground as well, because of course, remember, he was well down the order, having been caught up in what happened at turn 1. He's now 6th, and you know, now right on the back of Marin Angeli and Riker, and the safety car will be in this lap.
Certainly will do. As we now see, obviously some work's been undertaken now by those in the midst of the car. Now, we're already seeing a driver change at this point, because we've certainly seen some buckles being undone, perhaps there in the pit lane. We'll have to wait and see. Though at this stage, it's Pierre-Louis Chauvet who takes them around the final sector once again for the final time under, hopefully, safety car conditions. But still, nonetheless, we've got a long race to go, 37 minutes. And Fuminelli will be right behind him too. Look at Lewis Proctor, who's looking very dialed in at this point, trying to chase the tail of Fuminelli. In behind, I'll be very conscious of the fact that Simon Riker is also in the midst of this, not to mention plenty of other cars that are looking to raise the stakes. As now around the final corner they go once again, and certainly for the 3rd time, they're going to put pedal to the metal here in this race once again. Heading down towards turn 1, there you can see certainly East Talent getting an uncomfortable start as well. And take a look at Marin Angeli, who, while he's been stuck behind that Audi for quite a considerable amount of time, going for the move, and makes the move as well. Albert Costa joins him and makes his way up the highest stakes of this race, up into P5 as they launch their way through turns 1 and 2. Riker losing out twice.
Yeah, because Riker couldn't pass the lapped car in front of him before he got to the timing line, so he probably had to get out of the throttle. Bit of navigating the runoff areas a little bit further back, but man, that's really bad news for Riker. It's a big move down the inside here from Albert Costa into turn 4 on Marin Angeli. Did it come off? It did in the end, so Albert Costa 2 places gained on this restart so far, and Fuminelli right on the back of Pierre-Louis Chauvet as the sister Oregon car now comes in for its driver change. The driver change is now open for 14 minutes. Bit of grass been kicked up there on the exit of turn 5. I can only imagine that was potentially Costa in his pursuit of Lewis Proctor now, but yeah, Costa well on his way now in 4th place. Riker down to 7th. He's been done by the Kessel Ferrari as well, and by Carol Bash's Audi as well, so actually he's down to 8th place. I imagine he'll be in at the end of this lap, and they'll get Haase on board sharpish.
Yeah, certainly will do. They'll be looking to try and get him in the car ASAP, and move down the inside now once again as we see Proctor come under the mercy of Albert Costa, and certainly he will rise up now and take P3 on track here in the initial stint. And certainly with the driver change window on, we'll see more cars becking their way in. Nicola Marin Angeli goes in instantly, looking for Riccardo Agostini to now take the helm of the car this time. We do see him come into the pits. He's not alone. East Talent are boxed as well, so Christopher Haase is going to be standing by too. As now we see many cars now burst past the start-finish line, and in they come. 80 seconds to serve here, and we're certainly seeing how that affects their prospects later on inside the race. Christopher Haase and Simon Riker, no penalty, as we said earlier on. They're going to certainly enjoy that, and Haase will no doubt be out ahead of that AF Corsa Ferrari. At least you'd expect so anyway. Yeah,
you certainly would. Axel Jeffries about to get on board the Barron Motorsport car. Philip Barron not with us this weekend. Shoulder injury for him. Axel Jeffries taking his place and fighting for Ernst Kirkmeyer in the AM Championship. This is Christian Korzanowski getting on board the Olymp car as well. Changed at 61, AF Corsa Ferrari as well. So plenty of cars getting in. The Agostini's on board the AF Corsa Ferrari. Haas is now on board the East Talent Audi as well. He's got a big job now, because with Albert Costa getting past, that's now their main rival, I think, for a top place on the podium. We'll see where Chauvet and Max Paul come out in all of this as well, because of course, remember, they've got 20 seconds of handicap to take as well.
Yeah, certainly do. So we see Costa make his way up the hill, obviously ahead of Lewis Proctor. Carol Bash now up to 5th, ahead of Nicolo Shiro, who loses a bit of pace as well. Aaron Walker, who has a look down the inside here this time around as he looks to try and burst past Timo Rumpfkeil, outside line, heading up the hill out of Bank Sambadel. Rumpfkeil trying to hang on, as now once again Walker takes the gravel, and he loses time, loses momentum, and has to fall right behind that motorpark car as well.
Yeah, but the motorpark got the 17, got 5-second time penalty, presumably for the incident.
That's Costa.
Presumably for the incident with Montemini. So if it does come down between him and Haase, then advantage Haase, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely right. So gives a great chance now once again to East Talent to potentially put some big points on the table here. In comes the Get Speed car of Steve Jans and Axel Blom. Blom will step out, in will come Jans. 85 seconds for them as well to serve, so they've got 10 to certainly serve on top of the mandated time that they all have to serve here during the pit stop phase. As you can see straight away, Steve Jans going to work. They're going to take Axel Blom out, and in he will step. There is Christopher Haase, already boxed and ready to go. No penalty. Well, certainly no handicap did they have to serve, and naturally with the penalty now that Albert Costa is now retained for Motorpark, it naturally means there could yet be a twist in the tail come the end of this race. Cozy now steps out, Sunaghiotto steps into the car for AF Corsa. Chauvet still hasn't come in yet either, neither has David Fuminelli. You'd firmly expect him to go the distance during this driver change window period, and we still have 9 minutes and 50 to go during that window. This is the incident that the 5 seconds were for.
Yep, Albert Costa into the back of Montemini, spinning Montemini around and pitching him into the path of Mikhail Pitamba, taking them both out of the race. So 5-second penalty for Albert Costa, and of course his teammate Diego Menchaca leading the championship. So the championship's going to have a very different face as we go through. And currently, the car that was 4th going into this race, Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Maximilian Paul leading this one, could take 2nd in the standings, but they've got 20 seconds of handicap to take. We just have no idea how this is going to play out, George. I'm absolutely loving it. And of course the big drama as well, Optimum not scoring points in this race after being taken out at turn 1. There's still a question mark over where the East Talent Audi is going to come out as well. These top 5 cars will definitely extend right to the end of the driver change window, so another 9 minutes of running for them. Meanwhile, Haase is going to be pounding in the lap times in 10th place. He's got a minute of clean air in front of him before he meets another car for position, and he's going to be pumping in the sector times pretty damn quick.
Yeah, he certainly will do. We got a little bit of a fight now brewing here, because of course we saw Pietro Pirolini return to the track earlier on. He was right in the midst of a fight. This time this is Pierre-Louis Chauvet, who's got David Fuminelli all over his tail as well. Albert Costa, who is also looking to try and make moves. Of course, with that 5-second time penalty, that's going to hinder him quite a bit. And naturally Diego Menchaca, when he has to take to the wheel later on into the stint. They ride up Firth curve now, rumbling over the curves, the sausage curve as well, getting abused on the outset, heading through now towards Kamsa. They'll dial it into the inside, and now once again taking a trip downhill, as now we see the Kessel Racing car just dip in ever so slightly. Fuminelli going defensive, Pierre-Louis Chauvet as well, just holding on to his place at the sharp end. Look at Costa though, forever dialed in, looking for a switchback, heading out to Blackea. This could prove fruitful here for Albert Costa. He makes contact with David Fuminelli, heading through towards Bank Sambadel. They came together, and now heading in towards New Holland. He will take P2 on track here at this point, ahead of Fuminelli, but God blimey, that could be controversial.
And Chauvet into the pits, so Albert Costa now leads for Team Motorpark. That was such smart driving from Albert Costa into turn 10. He knew that Fuminelli had to pass the lap car on the inside, so he just opened up the corner, gave himself a lovely undercut, but now Maximilian Paul is going to get on board that 63 Team Oregon car. Just saw in the background there the SPS Mercedes being brought back from the gravel trap at turns 2 and 3. But 20 seconds to take in the handicap. Where is this car going to come out in relation to Christopher Haase? That is the big question. And where will it come out in comparison to Albert Costa when he hands over to Diego Menchaca? But this was, look at that. That's just a fantastic racing, a fantastic move from Albert Costa, though, even if it was a bit argy-bargy from the pair of them.
Yeah, and certainly just goes to show what's on the line this weekend. Obviously, Albert Costa has been brought in for one reason only, The big question is, was there enough space at that point? But naturally, Fuminelli was trying to hang around the inside, maintain the place, was very defensive, had to be. Costa saw his opportunity, heading up Bank Sambadel as they ran wheel to wheel, heading through the top of the precipice of the final sector. Of course, they're making their way around the final corner. It would be Costa who would lead on track. And now, certainly with Pierre-Louis Chauvet stepping out, in will step no less Max Paul, who knows how to bring big situations to promise here for Oregon team. We're seeing as well some battles between the Proctors and as well as that of the Ferrari AF Corsa. Also enter Carol Bash in the Olymp Racing Audi as well, and the 25 has made its way through. Serna Giotto managing to hold on, at least for now, of course, trying to make its way through the traffic, as you can just see now. Lewis Proctor trying to go to work here, and naturally it's very tricky when you've got items in the way.
Yeah, so Carol Bash taking full advantage of the fact that Lewis Proctor was caught up behind a lapped car there and taking third place. So Max Paul back out into the race, and Haase is well ahead of him, and behind Agostini and Cipriani and Milos Pavlovic as well. Timo Rumpfkars has come into the pits as well, one of the AM Championship leader. So now we have to wait and see when Albert Costa comes in, where Menchaca comes out in relation to Haase, because that will be for the net lead of the race.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Fuminelli in second. Bash, who is, they say he's taken a stop. That's his drive-through, just to confirm, folks. Of course, Marcin Jedlinski does need to take the car himself. Now we see Heiko Neumann step in for Timo Rumpfkars as well. Now this is, again, the fight up at the sharp end. Of course, Carol Bash, as we saw, with David Fuminelli earlier on, Proctors as well in the midst of all this fight, as we now see them take the hill up through Verth Curve. Bash, who has taken third away from Lewis Proctor, with Nicolo Schiro also in behind, who's also a rapid driver in his day and also in contest for the Pro-Am title, and might yet favour a good solid run in the opening stint for when Nicolo Rossi takes the wheel for the second half of the race. Carol Bash now looking to try and clear the runners. Oh, goodness me.
He's having to put a hard and fast overtake on this 25 car, which is refusing to obey the blue flags here.
Yeah, Serna Giotto not willing to give the place just yet, obviously, at this point. Remember, he has already stopped with Cosi as well in the midst. Of course, we've got plenty more to come as well. Lewis Proctor, who's got to give over to his father, Stuart Proctor, as well. And as we said, Schiro in behind, who also has to stop too. Jamie Stanley also needing to stop, and Aaron Walker does as well. Christopher Haase, though, we'll have to wait and see whether he does come out ahead of certainly the Motorpark parent. I think, incidentally, he might well do. Let's just see what happens now, because, of course, Carol Bash makes his way past Serna Giotto, so it does give the place, or the track space, and therefore the Olymp Racing Audi will make its way through in clean air.
So Costa's carried on for another lap. He leads Fuminelli by 2.7 seconds now. Got 3.5 minutes left on the driver change window. And now the Aaron Walker Mercedes come in the meanwhile. Anthony Bartone's going to get on board that number 6 Get Speed Mercedes. And didn't look to be in much of a hurry there, actually. They looked like they were wheeling it back. So don't know if there's problems there on that Get Speed car. Hopefully not, but he's come in 7th at the moment, but potentially some problems there, as we see this battle. Bash still in 3rd place, having taken that away from Lewis Proctor. This is all like Pro-Am position, by the way, minus the 25 AF Corsa Ferrari, which is a lap down, but the Proctor and the Schiro car behind them as well, and Jamie Stanley's not too far behind them either. And that's all for position in class. Oh no, Lewis Proctor going for a spin, trying to get round that 25 AF Corsa Ferrari. Serna Giotto not doing Lewis Proctor any favours there.
No, it was a real mess heading up through Bank Sambadel, and unfortunately Serna Giotto leading to the incident that would then involve, or certainly lead to the loss there for certainly him. And unfortunately for Lewis Proctor, he's got to try and regather himself. Through goes now Albert Costa again, past some of the rear back markers that have already stopped. Many of them already have. There's only a few select cars that haven't yet taken the pit lane. Of course, they're running out of time. 2 minutes to go now, so you would think that they have to do something this lap, or at least many of them will. They definitely will, in fact, as Heiko Neumann now jumps up to 11th place ahead of Anthony Bartone, who, of course, steps in to the car ahead of Aaron Walker. Max Paul, of course, down into 13th now for the Oregon team Lamborghini, because Haase now effectively the race leader at this point, with Agostini in behind as well, as we now see the fight as well from further down the order. Motorpark number 75 making its way through, that of course being driven by, well, certainly series new driver Lucas Dunner.
There's a replay of Senna Giotto making contact with Lewis Proctor. And yeah, he's not really been obeying the blue flags as Senna Giotto.
No, not at all. And unfortunately, Lewis Proctor coming unstuck as a result as well. Carol Bash, who still yet to pit, third place now on the table. There's David Fuminelli, who's got to box as well for Frederick Yusei, who's going to be stepping in. Still Albert Costa has got to pit as well. And just look again, trying to creep and peep on the back of Kiki Santner and Adam Osaka's car. Adam Osaka in the car this time around as Costa, who will surely look to come into the pits as well, does not want to be held up here by Adam Osaka. And we'll watch now as indeed he comes in towards the pit lane. Albert Costa's going to box. In will come Diego Menchaca.
So this is the important one. Where does this car come out in relation to Christopher Haase? This could decide the race. Albert Costa gets it down to the pit limit. Fuminelli follows him in as well. Carol Bash will also come in, as well Nicolo Schiro, Lewis Proctor and Jamie Stanley, the top 6 who are yet to do their driver change. All in the pits now as we're in the final few minutes of the driver change window. That Motorpark Mercedes has definitely seen better days. Albert Costa has put a few bumps and bruises on that Mercedes AMG, but it's currently in victory contention here. So Christopher Haase making his way around. He is the lead car that has served his stop. He's just coming out towards turn 10 now. And yeah, he and the Motorpark car, they're the ones we need to watch. Haase has been pumping in the sector times, lapping in the low 42s. He's just done a personal best in the middle sector as well. So all the work he's been doing since he got into the car has been to determine if he can take the lead away from Motorpark here. He's well clear of Agostini as well, 4.6 seconds to his favour. Here comes Haase now, and the Motorpark car is just getting away now, behind Fuminelli even. And then Haase takes the lead. Christopher Haase takes the lead for East Talent Racing, and Menchaca is still in the pit lane there. So not sure what is being held for, and he looks like he's on his way now. Yes, he is. So 21 minutes left on the clock, and Christopher Haase and Simon Riker are in a prime position here to take a very timely first win of the season. It could not come at a better time, with the championship being blown wide open.
Yeah, they've yet to win this season. Their best result being P2. They have done on many occasions, including the endurance race back at Spa-Francorchamps, where they tried to march themselves closer to a first race win. Yet to achieve it, though, but this could be the day. Riccardo Agostini, 4.9 seconds back, with Frederick Yusei in third place, who stepped in after a brilliant stint for David Fuminelli. Nicolo Rossi as well in the car, as well as we now see the 911 Mercedes make its way through past that of the Orange Sister, as well as they come down now in towards the Seat corner. And we can see them now all tied up together as they look to battle nose to tail. Steve Jans, who's doing certainly a stellar job, breezes past Anthony Bartone, and with a flash of the lights here from Steve Jans, looking to certainly do the business here. He's right in the midst of a Pro-Am fight of his own in terms of the championship, and looking to perhaps bring big points here for the Mercedes crew.
Drive-through penalty, car 17.
Diego Menchaca
And 55, Jamie Stanley, causing a collision, but so the Motorpark's already had the 5 seconds for the Montemini crash. Now it's going to have a drive-through penalty as well. They just want to keep us guessing who's going to win this championship tomorrow, because now we've got Haase leading. Menchaca was in a good position there, now down in 7th. He'll fall out of the points with this drive-through penalty. Max Paul and Pierre-Louis Chauvet will take up 7th place. No points for Optimum as well. This championship just keeps on delivering. So, but disaster for Motorpark. That is one of the worst-case scenarios.
Well, Heiko Neumann now as well under pressure. Steve Jans all over his tail with Anthony Bartone, who got overtaken by Jans earlier on. So there's 3 Mercedes here, all dancing around Barcelona, all looking to try and contest with P9 on circuit, of course. Neumann currently sat with well, second place in the AM classification as it stands here in this race, obviously being hunted down by a Pro-Am of Steve Jans, and then you've got the Pro of Anthony Bartone in behind these two as well. But still at the front end, Haase, who's now enjoying 5.1 seconds of space in between him and Agostini, with Yusei 7.6 in behind him. Great news for Maximilian Paul, because he is right behind Menchaca, 1.2 seconds. If Menchaca's got to serve a drive-through, obviously that opens the door for Max Paul to now take P7 on track.
Yeah, it's not going to bring them as close into the championship unless Max Paul goes on a bit of a spree here. They can still end up on the podium, actually, with this, because all the cars in front of them, bar the top two, are AM or Pro-Am cars, once Menchaca serves his penalty, of course. And there is Menchaca, left the right indicator on. That's Cipriani there, the AM race leader, and also going for the AM championship as well. And Menchaca now serving that drive-through penalty.
That indicator was useful after all, coming into the pit lane. So there we go, making use of it, and now sees himself make his way through the pit lane. Through goes Paul, so Maximilian Paul now up to 6th with Milos Pavlovic in 7th. So now it's down to Max Paul to try and get himself past Giuseppe Cipriani, who's sat in 5th overall and leading the AM contingent. Frederick Yusei still leading Pro-Am, with Nicolo Rossi now in 4th and closing his tail too. Menchaca dropping down the order as he serves this drive-through now. And when he comes out, by the looks of it, he's going to be behind Lucas Dunner, his fellow Motor Park comrade. And is he any further down than that? Yes, he's behind Sergio as well.
This is going to be a really tall order for Menchaca to still score points in this race. I mean, what more can we say about this championship, George? It's just been
one of the most bizarre championship fights.
So topsy-turvy.
We've had all sorts
but it's still not over, because Max Paul's going to go on a charge here. He'll dispatch of the cars in front of him, so Cipriani and Rossi and Giuseppe, and likely end up on the podium here, because they're not too far in front of him. And of course the pro driver against the AM and Pro-Am pairings is Christopher Haase, 5.1 seconds in the lead. Teammate Simon Riker watching on rather nervously, I would say. This win, provided Riker keeps it, Haase keeps it on the straight and narrow for the remaining 16.5 minutes, which I anticipate he would, and no technical problems befall that car, as they have done in the past.
Well, Hungaroring
exactly.
Speaks volumes. I think obviously we look back then. I mean, speaking of when you were saying pro cars having to dodge AM cars, Max Paul managing to dislodge Cipriani now, and he's up to 5th place. So chasing after that car, Nicolo Rossi, who we saw treading water with Frederick Yusei, as we now see them making their way through towards the next right. Now look at this. This is Menchaca, who sees himself now behind behind two AF Corsa Ferraris. They bundle their way down the straight again. So Menchaca's really got to go to work here to essentially, it's damage control at this point, Chris, because of course they want to minimize as much as they can, but it's such a tall order as we see the 27 and 25 come together.
Well, the 27 is the Pro-Am championship leading car that's trying to unlap itself because it spent some time in the gravel trap at turn 1. So this, George, would put East Talent at the head of the championship, ahead of Menchaca, with Fagendahan in 3rd.
A single point between Menchaca, Haase and Riker. Of course, 104 points, the leading pairing of Haase and Riker, with Menchaca in 2nd, 1 point behind. Marco Sieber, of course, not here this weekend. Charlie Fag and Sam DeHaan, who unfortunately we lost earlier on, now find themselves with 9 points to find if they want to try and challenge for the top end. It makes their race tomorrow oh so important, as now we're seeing the East Talent Audi make its way down the straight yet again. 29 laps completed. Christopher Haase at the helm after the driver change window, and with 14 minutes and 50 to go, they're going to be looking to try and close this out. Agostini looking to try and close the gap. 5.1 to find. He could yet find it. We know how good Agostini is, but he needs to bring his best if he wants to see a 296 victory here.
Should we plug tomorrow's race now while we're at it? Because you do not want to miss this finale tomorrow. The race is on at 1:30 local time tomorrow, so be sure to tune in, because this is going to be an almighty scrap for the 2023 International GT Open title, not just overall, but Pro-Am and Am as well. Speaking of which, Nicola Rossi now at the head of the Pro-Am field, having dispatched of Frédéric Jousset, now on the overall podium, but I fear that it will be short-lived because Max Paul in the Oregon Lamborghini is right on the rather spectacularly wide rear bumper of that Ferrari 296.
Yeah, Milos Pavlovic dispatching Frédéric Jousset as well for 5th on track and also 2nd in the Pro-Am classification. So a fantastic job certainly for the Benaldi team, who are here once again featuring their Lamborghini as well. There in behind you can see Jousset as well as Cipriani, who's had a great race as well in his Am run, currently ahead of Steve Jans and Anthony Bartoni. He's got those two cars in between him and Heiko Neumann, who sits in Am 2nd and overall 10th place, as now we see once again this time around Max Paul taking full advantage, and 3rd place now overall for the Oregon team Lamborghini. They come out now, they're in a podium place overall now, and all they have to do is try and close that gap as much as they can, but with 13 minutes and certainly 10 to go to nip into a 22-second gap and give yourself a chance of a higher result, I think 3rd is going to be their best today.
Especially bearing in mind they had the 22nd handicap to take as well. It's a lovely little move here. We're going to see a replay of. Great drive out of turn 8, inside of 9. Job
Textbook.
done.
Textbook.
So yeah, 3rd place is very good for them. It will bring them back up into the championship fight. Might even bring them into 3rd in the standings. Actually, I'd have to double check that, but yeah, might well just put them ahead of Optimum. We'll see when we get the standings a little bit later on. Of course, the ones we're seeing on the screen, that's minus the drop score, which we do have to take into account because you lose the 2 worst results of the season. So we do have to look into that because that will determine the championship, especially if it keeps flicking backwards and forwards the way it has been all season long, and especially today, then that's going to be really important to take note of. Yeah, Hasso leads, Agostini leads Max Paul, and Nicola Rossi in the lead of the Pro-Am Championship. Cipriani hanging on to the Am lead there as well. That's important for his championship as well because he was 3rd going into this into that, and 9 points back from Heiko Neumann and Timo Rumpfkeil, who are 2nd in class. And yes, this would put Oregon ahead of Optimum.
It certainly will. Max Paul obviously coming out and managing to move his way into 3rd overall at this point. Now places them 6 points in behind Christopher Hasso, right at the top of the championship standings. Obviously, this is the overall classification without the drop scores at this stage. Now we see Pavlovic looking to go to work this time on Nicola Rossi. We mentioned that Benaldi Lamborghini has been looking really strong in this second half of the stint, and Pavlovic is well, certainly he certainly carries plenty of punch, plenty of pace, and looking to unlock it down the long straight here at Barcelona. Looking to tie in nice and tight into the inside curve as we now witness Axel Jeffries getting himself into the mix. He's got Heiko Neumann in front of him, as well as Konrad Grunwald, who he himself all the way from the United States, a drift racing star. As now we see once again Pavlovic going for the move this time on Nicola Rossi. This is for the Pro-Am lead, and he's going to take it, I think. Should he hold on to the Tiger line? And certainly he does. The Benaldi car now moves ahead and is now 4th overall, but leading the Pro-Am race.
So that's going to take some points away from the 2 Nicos in the Kessel Ferrari. So not going to be eating as much into Eddie Cheever and Marco Polcini's lead, which is good news for them, but certainly will be moving forward in the championship with 2nd place in class. Pavlovic not in the Pro-Am fight because they've not been all the races.
No, Rossi's round. He spun it at Seat. He came unstuck, the rear end, unfortunately. Nothing to do with Pavlovic, he was clear, but Rossi, unfortunately, losing the rear end slightly, and therefore losing traction, spinning the car.
Oh,
Goodness
no.
me, that is probably not advisable.
No, now he's going to get it stuck in the gravel, and it's just gone from bad to worse. Sorry, George, I was looking at my point sheet there when that happened, but wow, this Kessel Ferrari that could have taken a bite out of AF Corsa's Pro-Am points lead looks like it's not going to happen at all because it's now stuck in the gravel at turn 5.
Well, I tell you what, this definitely provides a very complexing issue here, as now we see once again Motor Park in the midst of a scrap collision as well, heading through. towards that segment. Simon Riker obviously understandably disappointed because all the gap that they had with Haase, 5.4 seconds in front, and certainly we're here seeing Christian Koznowski, the two Olymp cars in the midst of all this fight too. Now that is the car number 17, of course belonging to Diego Menchaca, that's obviously had to serve not only a 5-second time penalty that they're going to accrue at the end of the race, but also on top of that the drive-through penalty that they had to deal with too. Heading through the final corner again, trying to marshal his way past Marcin Jedlinski, has done so, and Marcin, as a result, into the gravel, out of the final corner, has done well to maintain the direction of the car, so comes back out onto the main straight, but a very nervous moment for the Audi R8.
No sign of the safety car just yet. Yeah, this is Jedlinski getting into the gravel at the final corner. Keeping it just about on the straight and narrow, but yeah, no sign of the safety car just yet. I think the bigger worry for me, George, would be Max Paul suddenly being on the back of Agostini and Haase's tail, because Absolutely. That gap's currently 22 seconds. The lead gap has been very static. If there's been one lap faster than the other, it's gone back, and safety car has been deployed.
Well, there you have it. The group is going to be brought together. Haase, Agostini and Paul. You've seen it here, folks. 3 pro cars that are going to be drawn together with Paul and Haase in the championship fight. Unbelievable scenes here at Barcelona. Cipriani as well in 5th place, having a splendid drive, but probably would have preferred to have the gap between himself and Steve Jans. Frederick Usain is going to be brought closer to Anthony Bartone, who is also in the mix, but I tell you what, drama in its abundance. Christopher Haase has got a huge, certainly, stint on his hands here, certainly for the final 8 or so minutes, 7.5 minutes, 7:40, whatever it may be. The big question is, how long does this safety car stay out? Is there going to be enough time at the end? Who knows? Mystery.
Oh, what I wouldn't give to hear the internal dialogue of Simon Riker right now during this moment. I'm sure he's been very calm, though, I will say. I'd expect a bit more pacing, a little bit more twitching, that kind of thing. But, you know, he's entrusted that car in the hands of Audi Works driver Christopher Haase. And there are probably fewer hands I'd rather have that car in if I were in Simon's position right now. So Agostini will be on his back tail. Max Paul will arrive on the scene as well. Of course, the saving grace for Haase is that Max Paul's going to have to make his way through Agostini before he gets to him. And so the JCB on track, already getting the recovery of that car underway. What also might work in their favor as well is the fact that time is of the essence, and we have less than 7 minutes remaining in this race. And this is why we're under safety car conditions. A slightly clumsy rejoin from Nicolo Schiro resulted in that Kessel Ferrari 296 being put in the gravel.
You know, we'll have to wait and see now how long this safety car stays out. And Simon Riker, obviously, no doubt, not happy with how that's unfolded. And obviously now the lead that Haase once had is going to be stripped away. And now you can see Agostini now within a second already of Haase right at the front. It won't be long before Max Paul joins them as well. Now this has worked out wonderfully for Oregon, who might yet get a chance at yet another race win. We take a look at the history of how they've performed this season. Of course, the first 2 rounds were definitely not one to remember, but you take a look at Hungaroring, where they would take a P3 in a sensational victory, where this man, Max Paul, he certainly achieves big in the major moments. Could this be another sensational Maximilian Paul performance? We'll have to wait and see. And then Paul Ricard, when they would take the race victory in race 2, they would take the victory as well in the opening race of Red Bull Ring. And then at Monza, a victory at a home track in race 1 as well. But Nicolo Rossi, it looks like he's going to get the car back underway. The marshal's doing a splendid job to make sure that he can rejoin the track and rejoin the race. And also, hopefully, we will get back under green conditions before the end of the timer.
East Allen have got to win this race, George, for the championship. This is too big an opportunity for them to miss. I was talking to them yesterday. Normally, their philosophy has just been consistency will serve them well, and it has served them well. But at this stage in the championship, if they want to keep fighting for it, they need this race win right now. This is the best opportunity they've had for a win all season long. And with 2 of their biggest title rivals not scoring points in this race as it stands, Menchaca could well break into the top 10 yet with this safety car period. But as it stands, this is working out amazingly for East Talent, and they've got to grab this opportunity with both hands. 4.5 minutes left on the clock. I think now it's only a matter of making sure they're all in order because the car was actually dealt with quite quickly, but the field was rather spread out. So if there are any stragglers left, they'll sort that out. But I can't imagine we'll be under safety car for much longer.
There we go.
There you go, safety car in this lap. So we'll have about 3 minutes maybe left on the cut, maybe 2 laps, do you reckon?
I think there could be 2 laps here. And obviously, given the current circumstances, with Haas right in the front, Riccardo Agostini haunting his rear wing, Maximilian Paul also in the mixer too. I tell you what, folks, get yourselves ready. This could prove to be the most sensational 2 laps of racing you have ever seen. Leading the way, Christopher Haas, Agostini second, Paul in third. 2 of the championship contenders sat in the top 3. And I tell you what, we could be in for a treat. Where do you think it's going, Chris?
I think 2 laps. You know, Christopher Haas has been phenomenal, isn't he? I mean, he's an Audi Works driver. Just a reminder of how this would affect the championship standings going into tomorrow's final race of the season. Christopher Haas and Simon Riker would lead on 104 points. Diego Menchaca second by 1 point, and then Max Paul and Pierre-Louis Chauvet 6 behind. Ignore Marcus Seibert because he's missing the final 2 rounds of the championship. Hence, Menchaca's new teammate for Monza, and a different one for this round in the form of Albert Costa. But Christopher Haas, he knows every trick in the book for this. He has been an Audi Works driver for 10 years. He's gone very early out of turn 12.
Yeah, not wasting any time at all. He puts his foot to the floor. Still, though, we're in a yellow scenario until the flags go green. They do now, as we see Christopher Haas make his way around New Holland. And certainly, once again, and for the 4th time, we're going to put pedal to the metal here at Barcelona. And now as they make their way down through towards turn 1, it is still Christopher Haas right in front. Agostini chasing him down. Maximilian Paul breaking away from Pavlovic in behind. We got a battle further down as well. Frederic Yousset and Anthony Bartone going side by side. Through they go in towards turn 1. Has Bartone got him, or has Yousset done enough? I think he might have. He's got the inside heading out of turn 2. Yousset managing to defend brilliantly against Bartone, the pro.
And Bartone had the 3-pointed star chopped off the front of his Mercedes as he got right on the back of that Ferrari, but he's got a run here out of turn 3 and takes the place away from Yousset. That is 7th for Bartone now, and Axel Jeffrey is going to follow him through as well into 8th place. And now remember that Axel Jeffries, despite his gold status, his teammate being over the age of 65 means that car can stay in the AM Championship for this weekend. And for Ernst Kirkmeyer, that's very important because he's second going into this weekend in the AM standings.
Yeah, Steve Yans getting past Giuseppe Cipriani as well, and looking to close down on Milas Pavlovic, because that's the battle for the Pro-Am lead here at this point as well. Christopher Haas 8/10 clear of Agostini, in behind as well. Maximilian Paul watching it all unfold right in front of him here as now we hit down in towards, well, we're very close now to the final minutes of racing. Steve Yan, a big kick up of the gravel further back as well, and unfortunately I think we might have lost a couple of places. Adamo Seika losing out to Diego Menchaca, Frederic Yousset losing out a lot as well. There's a sea of cars now making their way up the climb now as the motor park looks to find its way through. Menchaca trying to force his way past Frederic Yousset. They come wheel to wheel. Stanislav Jedlinski in behind as well, losing places as through goes Osaka, makes his way through as well. Osaka looking to perhaps take Frederic Yousset as well, looking to follow suit from what Diego Menchaca did in his Mercedes on this very tail end of the lap. Against Stanislav Jedlinski goes into the gravel. Again, he takes a visit into the stones, but certainly it will not perturb him. He manages to get back on track. Final lap underway. Haas still leads.
Yeah, 1.3 seconds is Haas's advantage. Looking very good for East Highland Racing to take their first victory of the season, and a very timely one at that as well. Could not be coming at a better opportunity. It will put them in the championship lead for tomorrow's final race of the season. Can Max Paul do anything about Agostini in front of him? Every point counts, and he is looking for 3rd in the championship in this race. And look how nervous the East Talent Racing team are. This team that was formed at the end of 2021, they did their first season of competition last year in the GT Masters Championship. This is the first time that this team is racing across Europe as well. So a lot of these tracks very new to them as well, but they've got such support with a great driver in the form of Simon Riker, and rowdy support in the form of Christopher Haase.
They've achieved a podium on 5 occasions while trying to chase down a very first win of the season. Christopher Haase, ever so experienced, who has competed at the top level as well in terms of GT3 racing for such a long time. An Audi Works driver that's looking to bring an Audi home for the first time in terms of East Talent Audi this season. Looking to take victory for the first time overall on their debut campaign season. This season in the International GTOpen of 2023, it's going to be East Talent. It's Christopher Haase. He wins here at Barcelona, and also a tremendous result for Simon Riker, who did the first stint in the car. He's going to be absolutely thrilled. Agostini comes across in second, Maximilian Paul home in third, Pavlovic comes home in fourth, also takes the Pro-Am win, with Steve Jansik in Pro-Am second and fifth overall, Anthony Bartone in sixth, Giuseppe Cipriani, an Am winner as well on this occasion, with Conrad Grunwald Am second, Axel Jeffries Am third. So there you have it, folks, a sensational result. The championship has taken an unprecedented turn. You thought you'd seen it all? Well, let me tell you something, you haven't. You'll be tuning in tomorrow, I can assure you, for a grand finale of all finales.
Oh, you do not want to miss it. This is just unreal. We will still have 4 cars fighting for the championship, but the face of the battle now looking very, very different indeed. That is a very timely result for East Talent. That's fantastic, and bit of drama there for our AM Championship leaders as well, with Motorpark, Timo Rumpkau and Heiko Neumann. 3-second time penalty to be added to their time, to their race time. So actually, I can't even see them. Where have they ended up? 4th in class. So I mean, that's it's points for them. But that fight and the Pro-Am fight and the team's championship as well, all going down to the wire.
Yeah, it's taken a long time. It's taken an entire season, but they can call themselves winners. It's Simon Riker and Christopher Haase, and East Talent Audi. They've taken victory here at Barcelona in race 1. Nicola Marinangeli and Riccardo Agostini in second, with Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Maximilian Paul home in third place. Milos Pavlovic, Samponjo Javanil in fourth, Blom and Jans in fifth, with Bartone and Walker in sixth. Giuseppe Cipriani takes an Am victory, 7th place overall. Kirkmeyer and Jeffries in 8th, Sada and Grunwald in 9th, Dunner and Stromstead in 10th in their debut appearance this season. 11th place goes to Neumann and Rumpkyle, Cosi and Sernagiotto in 12th, Menchaca and Costa. I tell you what, those penalties certainly did become a factor in 13th. Yusei Fuminelli 14th, DeMeo Stanley 15th, Proctors coming home in 16th, with Kiki Satnana, Animo Seika 17th. Jadlinski was in behind them too in 18th, Negri in 19th, with Christian Kozanowski 20th, Niccolo Rossi in 21st, Eddie Chiva 22nd, Dan Arrow in 23rd, Andrea Montemini and Dominic Baumann further down as well. Here's the Drivers' Championship, 104 points up at the top end, with Simon Riker and Christopher Haase representing East Talent Audi. What a performance. Diego Menchaca now in second place, 1 point, solitary point behind, with Maximilian Paul and Pierre-Louis Chauvet after that third place. They're only 6 points away from glory. Charlie Fagg and Sam Dahan have got a little bit of work to do tomorrow to try and regain what they lost. But Christopher Haase, without any shadow of a doubt, brimming with happiness. The celebrations in full flow. Of course, they'll be aware they have a race tomorrow, but this is one they can savour.
And the championship fight was 10 points separating those 4 cars when we got going this morning. It's now 9 points. So
it's only got closer.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's what we like about racing, folks. The sporting elements of it, once again on show. And Christopher Haase, Cinderella story as well. They haven't won, they've gone close season on season, but for the first time, they call themselves winners.
A big result for these two as well, getting that third place there, keeping themselves well inside the fight. To be a fly on the wall of the Optimum Motorsport team as well during this race, I can only imagine what kind of words were exchanged when Charlie had to park the car. But scenes like this, where you've got driver and team just celebrating their first victory, fantastic stuff. It's fantastic to watch.
Good timing.
Good timing, says Alfredo.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, very good timing indeed.
Yeah, he's not wrong at all. Credit to him. I mean, obviously, it was a tremendous performance from Christopher Haase and obviously Simon Riker, who did the initial stint. And it looked like they had the world against them at the very start as well. But fair play. Credit to both of them as we take you through the top three. Maximilian Paul brings it home for Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Paul and Oregon team to take P3. The championship getting closer between them and the others as well. Riccardo Agostini and Nicola Marinangeli finishing second for AF Corsa. Not quite the win that they are hoping for. But East Talent can celebrate. It's Christopher Haase and Simon Riker. They're victors here at Barcelona for the first time ever. And they're standing by with Alfredo.
Simon Riker, Christopher Haase. First victory, long awaited, deserved, and perfect timing.
Yeah, thank you. It was a tough race. We started from 11. Never thought that we could get so far up, but still the start went well. And then, yeah, Christopher did a mega job.
And sometimes in the fight for championships, the third contender gets better position. So tonight you are not in a bad position.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, Simon did very well at the start. He just tried to be clean, to stay out of trouble. This worked very, very well. The team did a fantastic job in the pit stop. No mistakes. This was our main target. I think we achieved that. Cleaning this up or finishing this up with a victory, our first over victory in the International GTOpen is just a fantastic feeling. That's what we're pushing for. And yeah, the fight is on. So Sunday is coming, and we're gonna try to be prepared.
Well done. Enjoy the moment.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can tell it means a lot to them as well, and they're now seeing themselves towards the top end of the championship. Let's take a look and see how they did it. Race one here at Barcelona got underway. Tremendous style indeed as well, but until we got down to turn one, we saw certainly a calamity of sorts. Almanor Racing, unfortunately, coming unstuck. Albert Costa right in the fight as well. Unfortunately, well, he managed to dodge and weave between that of Charlie Fagg in the very early stages, but the cars getting collected in the early stage would see, of course, the Optimum Motorsport McLaren out of the race at the very beginning. We saw some types as well. Albert Costa trying to charge his way through the field after losing places early on. Unfortunately then being slapped with a 5-second time penalty after the collision with Andrea Montemini from behind. We then of course saw another collection heading down through towards turn one as well. Unfortunately Marco Polcini, they're in the Pro-Am title fight leading the way coming into this weekend. Pietro Pirolini also coming unstuck on that occasion. In they came for the driver change periods as well, and of course we witnessed that of Pierre-Louis Chauvet taking that early lead at the very start. More battling further on as the Elite Racing Audi that was right in the midst of all the scraps as well. Of course Carol Bash getting certainly hindered earlier on in the race after that battle at the very start that would cause the collision, making their way through turns 1 and 2. It was a very, very important race as well for the Benaldi team, who were looking to bring themselves higher and higher, but it would come unstuck here for Nicolo Rossi, who would try and right the car himself, bringing about the safety car. We got back underway in green flag conditions, and it was all down to Christopher Haase. After the driver change period, he managed to bring the East Talent Audi team right to the top of the classification, eventually coming home, taking the checkered flag, and an important first victory for the East Talent Audi team.
I love that reaction. These two have been a great pairing all year. They've been very close, and I'm sure Chris is a great mentor to Simon as well, and help him improve throughout the year. So, Marinangeli and Agostini is going to congratulate Chris and Simon there.
I was really there.
Yeah, it was such a big fight as well, and credit to Agostini and Marinangeli, and they of course claiming P2. They of course though unfortunately off the back of Red Bull and obviously what happened at Monza, not claiming race wins this season. They're going to have to look to try and find that elsewhere. Maybe tomorrow in fact is where they'll need to chase it, because it is the last race of the season. So a big day tomorrow.
Well, of course, now they have to go in with 10 seconds of handicap as well, which is not going to help them. We'll see how that pans out. Because Max Paul and Pierre-Louis Chauvet, they'll drop a fair bit as well. Certainly they'll lose 10 of that. And I think Optimum will go in with no handicap either, nor will the motor park car, I believe, as well. So suddenly it's going to be very, very open indeed. But in the meantime, it's the Austrian national anthem for East Talent Racing.
Well, an abrupt stop there. And so there we go.
But a proud moment for the Austrian team. You know, Simon and Peter Riker, the Austrian nationality. Simon was born in Germany, but of Austrian nationality, and the team itself based in Kirchberg by Mattighofen as well. Been waiting all season to say that.
There we go. Well,
it's not my favourite place name of the season we've got this year.
Well, they can celebrate anyway, nonetheless. It's a very big day for East Talent, and naturally, laying hands on the winner's trophy is going to be absolutely massive for them. The first drivers, though, to receive theirs, obviously we witnessed earlier on Oregon getting theirs, but both of the AF Corsa drivers in the pro class, Nicola Marinangeli, Riccardo Agostini, yet another podium for them. They can celebrate P2 here this time around, but nonetheless, great drive. And our victors, Christopher Haase and Simon Riker for the first time. As I said, incredible number of podiums that they have managed to accrue this season. They've been by far one of the most consistent teams in terms of podium performances, and no doubt will want to convert that potentially, not just into a race win, but also a championship.
They have been very consistent, just a bit unlucky, really, because you think about the technical problem in Hungary that caused them to have a DNF, and then they didn't score points in the first round in the first race, at Paul Ricard as well, which, if I remember rightly, was contact on the opening lap, wasn't it? So yeah, but beyond that, they've been very consistent, and a lot of second-place finishes as well. With that, including at the Spa Enduro, at the Hungaroring, at Paul Ricard in the second race as well. Last time out at Monza as well. And that's been the foundation of this championship, really. And, we'll see the Pro-Am podium as well, which will be the 33 Benoldi crew of Milos Pavlovic and Sampornjau Javanel, who took the class victory there, alongside Steve Jans and Axel Blom in the 911 Mercedes. Important for them because they're third in the Pro-Am standings as well, and top two didn't actually score points, did they? No, they did not. So that's very important for them. Actually, none of their title rivals scored points.
No, well,
so
again as well,
big for the Get Speed.
The debut podium as well for the motorpark pairing of Lucas Dunner.
Yes.
Who's obviously stepped up, and along with his colleague Morten Stromsted. And as I said, Radical's driver generally, not necessarily someone who's got an eclectic racing career behind him, but his son has obviously done so well in terms of the single-seater world, and has now seen himself manage to get a drive in the Formula Regional campaign with RPM. So tremendous. The family is obviously very much racing-blooded, and
he actually competed in Danish F4 with his son in 2021. As well, they were on the grid together, which is, I'm sure, nice for them.
Brilliant.
But yes, that'll be so. Yeah, two non-championship contenders on the podium, debut podium for the Motorpark team with the Pro-Am pairing, new for this weekend, and big result for Get Speed as they closed up in the championship. Lovely drone shots again there, and then yeah, the AM standings as well. So Giuseppe Cipriani, for the third time this season, winner in the AM category. That's a very timely result for him, given he was 9 points back in the championship. We'll have the AM podium shortly.
Yeah, we will soon, and obviously great result for the team of Milos Pavlovic. And of course, Sampon, Zhao Zhao, they'll celebrate this one. Benaldi on top here at Barcelona in the Pro-Am category. And certainly serves them well heading into tomorrow. They, of course, though, will be hindered by a success handicap when we go racing. And of course, it'll be the final race of this seasonal campaign. But always nice to end on a strong suit. They, of course, coming into the weekend on their own right. They were 6th in the standings in Pro-Am. Coming in, so bringing those points, or bringing that points haul a little closer as they spray the champagne. Not too concerned about getting them wet, because of course they will need them tomorrow. But Sampon Zhao getting a good old soaking from his teammate Milos Pavlovic.
Their motorbike's got a washing machine. I'm sure they can borrow one.
Well, they might need one.
They do. They keep it outside the back of the garage.
They do.
Very odd thing to just see out the back of the garage with a bunch of tyres and.
Well, I'm sure the drivers appreciate it nonetheless.
Just I'm sure they do. Yes, absolutely. Especially a day like today, which has been just glorious sunshine. Temperature's been okay. I didn't want to bring it up earlier, but the graphic said 19 degrees. I'm sure all the sensors say 19 degrees, but it didn't feel like 19 when we were out there earlier, George. I'll tell you that for free.
I'd say it was more in the 20s, to be honest with you. But
it did feel like that, but maybe that's just my British body can't handle Southern European heat. But yes, now we'll go on to the AM podium. Giuseppe Cipriani's 3rd win in that class of the season. And second by only half a second in the end was Axel Jeffries and Ernst Kirkmeyer. So again, big for the championship. They're 4th going into this one. And for the Baron Motorsport Ferrari, and then third by a single thousandth of a second behind Axel Jeffries in the end, was the 61, of course, the pairing of Conrad Grunwald and Jean-Claude Sarda. And that is the car that is 2nd in the AM Championship, and it is their 4th podium of the season.
Yeah, wonderful. Certainly for Giuseppe Cipriani, has been a long servant here of the International GTOpen as a driver, and of course, in his own right, of course, has achieved championships in the AM class historically, and now back again. Calls himself a class winner here again at Barcelona as well. So congratulations to him for that, and a welcome return as well for Baron Motorsport, and no doubt Axel Jeffries here returning too, who we know is a class act behind the wheel. Ernst Kirkmeyer alongside him too, and great to have Conrad Grunwald as well up there with his teammate and colleague as well. But absolutely tremendous outing for the pair of them, and 2 trophies going to Giuseppe Cipriani. Yeah, why not? I mean, obviously, he's serving solo as a driver for his team, vastly known as Il Barone Rampante, of course, and it's been a busy season for him, but back at the top.
Yeah, so Il Baron Rampante comes from the Baron in the Trees book, which translates to Il Baron Rampante.
Absolutely. Well, folks, it has been a tremendous race. We'll be back tomorrow as the championship comes to a close. Join us for qualifying in the morning at 9:30.